En als het goed is, zien jullie nu ook nog mijn scherm. Nou, kijk. Eventjes in het kort. Ik gaf al aan, ik ben dus Helen, ik werk bij Travel Trend, maar dit webinar hebben wij samen opgezet met Melissa. Melissa Butler is Regional Manager van Bahamas Tourism. En zij heeft vandaag de tijd genomen om jullie verder bij te praten over deze toch voor velen nog wel onbekende bestemming. We nemen jullie in zo'n 30 tot 45 minuten vandaag mee langs de exotische eilandengroep de Bahamas. En ja, voor velen, wat ik al aangaf, een bestemming die tot de verbeelding spreekt. Naast de bestemming zelf, hoe bied je hem aan? Wat zijn nu eigenlijk de vliegverbindingen? Dat komt onder andere aan bod. Maar ook bijvoorbeeld de combinaties die wij vanuit Travel Trend aanbieden met Florida, Miami en dus New York. Daarnaast bieden wij verschillende island hopping programma's aan. Dus die zullen we natuurlijk eventjes belichten. En natuurlijk 2 van onze bestseller accommodaties. Voor iedereen die er nu nog bij is gekomen, welkom. Ik heb in principe iedereen gemute. Dus als je net binnen bent gekomen, zorg dat je op mute staat en dat je camera uit is voor de opname. Anders blijf je voor eeuwig op ons YouTube kanaal in beeld staan. Now, then I would like to give the word to Melissa soon. Melissa is based in London. So this presentation will partly be in English. So Melissa, please tell us more about the Bahamas.
Thank you so much, Helen. Yes, so the Bahamas is certainly the gem of the Caribbean, we say. We are not one island, we are an archipelago, meaning we have more than one island. We have 16 main islands that we promote. The Bahamas has over 700 islands, over 2,000 keys. 30 of these islands are inhabited, but we focus predominantly on the 16 main islands that has the most of the population. As you can see, we've started with the map. The map shows the Bahamas and the close proximity to the United States. So again, when we're looking at putting together packages, we're very, very close to the US. The closest island to the US is less than 2 hours away. So in terms of putting together the packages, a US Bahamas combination is ideal, or you can do island hopping within the Bahamas itself. The city center of the Bahamas is Nassau. You see that red dot on the screen there. So Nassau is the city center. This is the capital on the island of New Providence. Nassau is where you would also have Paradise Island, that's connected by just a small bridge to the main city of Nassau. So getting over to Paradise Island, where you have the hotels such as the Atlantis and Comfort Suites, you would travel over just a small bridge that connects you over to Paradise Island. The second most populated island in the Bahamas is Grand Bahama, Freeport, that's further up north. This is the second city, Freeport, Grand Bahama. Again, Freeport is an island that gives you a mix of a little bit of city, but also an out island feel to it. Perfect for families. We do have some all-inclusive as well as boutique properties here. Next to Grand Bahama, we have the Abacos. The Abacos, you see lots of dots around the Abacos. The Abacos has a lot of small keys as well surrounding it, making it perfect for boating, fishing, things of that sort. Right under the Abacos, we have Eleuthera and Harbor Island. Again, more of a longer island, as you can see, not as many keys. In terms of getting from one end of the island to the other, it can take a while. We're looking at a drive by car of at least 2.5 to 3 hours. That's how long the island is. On the island of Eleuthera, there are 3 international airports, one in the north, one in the south, and one in the central. So again, depending on where your clients would like to go on the islands, it's good to know which airport is closest to them. If you have persons who are looking for the pink sand beach, that's closer to the Harbor Island side. So persons would fly in to North Eleuthera Airport. If you have persons who are interested in more so of the southern end of the island, where you would have places such as Cape Eleuthera, you would fly into the Rock Sound International Airport. The biggest island that you see on the screen, which is Andros Island. Andros is again the biggest, but not the most populated. But this island attracts mainly persons who are nature enthusiasts. So persons who love the water. There is this Andros Island has one of the largest barrier reefs in the world, making it perfect for diving, fishing, snorkeling, bird watching, all of those things you can find in Andros. You see, the island also is segmented a little bit, meaning that you see there's water running through some of the island here. Again, it's important to note that for Andros, you cannot drive from one end of the island to the other. It's not possible in Andros. You do have to fly from the south over to the north. Another one, the exumas here. Again, you see a lot of little dots. Those are smaller islands and keys. The exumas, and we'll get into a little bit more, but the exumas, again, perfect for boating. And this is where you find the original swimming with the pigs experience that a lot of people like to enjoy. You also have Cat Island. I promise you it's not filled with cats. Cat Island and Long Island. These are more remote in terms of population. So if you have persons who are just looking to lounge on the beach, not be around a lot of hustle and bustle that you would get from the city center, Cat Island and Long Island are ideal. Long Island is where you have like Dean's Blue Hole. Long Island also has a resort, Cape Santa Maria, and it has some of the a phenomenal beach in Long Island as well. So, as an overview, these collection of islands make up most of what we call the islands of the Bahamas in terms of how we're stretched. We're stretched across 100 square miles of pure ocean, incredible waters. And in terms of the connectivity, there's connectivity from Nassau to all of the islands. So again, I just went over 700 islands, 30 of them are inhabited. We went over some of the main ones of the 30. The main source of income in the Bahamas is tourism and fishing. Again, because of our waters, we export a lot of the produce from, or the fisheries from marine life. We also have tax-free shopping in the Bahamas. Nassau on the Bay Street Cable Beach area, you will find a lot of stores that offer the tax-free shopping. We also have, I mentioned, Freeport, as well as some of the out islands like Long Island, Cat Island, Exuma, and Eleuthera. Those are some of the top islands that we receive visitors to in terms of the island hopping. The climate of the Bahamas, it is warm and sunny year around, 26 degrees Celsius year round. So it's perfect to sell year round. The winter average is about 23 degrees. the summer average can get up to 28 degrees. We do have a little bit of a rainy season, or we call it liquid sunshine in the Bahamas. And that runs from May to October. On average, anywhere from about 11 to 17 days per month. And then November to April, anywhere from about 5 to 9 days. But again, one of the things in the Bahamas is it can rain early morning, and by mid-afternoon, the sun is out shining bright again. So I wouldn't be put off by that at all. But just so you know, yes, we do have a little bit of wet, liquid sunshine from time to time. Nassau, again, I mentioned this is the city center. So you will find everything here in Nassau, from your big hotels, such as the Atlantis Resort, your Bahama Resort, and then you can also find your boutique, smaller hotels here as well. There is something for every price point. In Nassau, because it is the city center. So you have amazing nightlife. Most of the population is here. So in terms of traveling around the island, it's predominantly by cars. We do have public transportation that's available in terms of buses as well. But because this is the most populated island, getting around during traffic hours or peak times will be a little bit slower because it is the city. In terms of architecture, lots of colorful architecture and buildings throughout the island. There is a little bit of a colonial feel. Because the Bahamas was once a British colony, we still have things such as forts that are operational that can be visited. We still have some of the colonial style architecture. The bottom photo that you see here with the couple on the scooter, this is our parliament. So this is where our ministers would meet, as well as our Senate. And you see, it has some sort of a colonial aspect to it. Along the Bay Street area where this is located, you will see a lot of that type of building architecture. We also have a lot of museums and historical buildings. We also have a lot of art galleries around as well. In downtown, even some of the hotels as well, you will see a lot of artistry. Bahamians are an artistic people. We are a colorful people, and we express ourselves in that manner. We have a festival called Junkanoo that celebrates that type of artistry. Downtown is also where you would find the cruise harbor. The cruise harbor actually just had a massive upgrade, a $100 million upgrade to the cruise port area. And the downtown area is where you find the cruise port. Even if you're not a cruise passenger, you can go in to the cruise port because there's lots of local shopping. Sometimes events are held. There's also a Junkanoo museum in there as well. And then, of course, I mentioned the Atlantis Resort, but we'll get into more of that a little bit later. But those are just some of the tourism hotspots in Nassau. And then in Freeport, Grand Bahama, as I mentioned, Freeport is the capital of Grand Bahama Island. I showed the location. It's closer to the north in terms of the close proximity to the US, extremely close, just 160 kilometers from the US. There is a ferry service that runs from the US into Freeport, Grand Bahama. So for those persons who just want to go in and via boat, they can do that as well. Population of Freeport is under 30,000. So again, you see, compared to Nassau, there's a vast difference in the amount of people who are in Freeport. There, like I mentioned, there is a section that is more of a city feel to it in terms of the infrastructure, but most of the islands will give you an out island type of experience. In Freeport, we also have a coral farm. Coral Vita is the name of it. So persons who are visiting the island, they can actually visit a coral farm, learn about coral planting, and a part of the experience, they can actually go out. They will get a little pulp, and you can actually go out and participate in mangrove planting and coral planting. The technology that they have at Coral Vita in Grand Bahama, they are able to speed up the process of coral and mangrove planting by up to 50%. So again, we are a small island nation surrounded by water. So we encourage visitors to come in because more hands the better as it relates to protecting our oceans and marine life. In terms of attractions, water sports are certainly high. Again, most of the islands are surrounded by water. And in terms of accommodations, one of the all inclusive properties that we have is Viva Fortuna Wyndham. Um, Family friendly, and this is an all inclusive property. And then we also have another one, Grand Lucayan at Lighthouse Point, also an all inclusive property in Grand Bahama. Again, just showing you the map again of where Grand Bahama is, Freeport, and its proximity to Florida and the US. We'll move on now to Long Island and Cat Island. Long Island has one of the deepest blue holes in the world. This is where a lot of the free diving competitions are held. You see, that's a photo of it right there at the bottom of your screen. This is certainly an area that a lot of people like to visit. So it is a bucket list activity, I would say, for the island. If persons do tend to snorkel in the area as well, just to experience it. But because it's so deep, snorkeling across the blue hole, you don't really see as much in the blue hole, but surrounding the blue hole, you can see a lot of marine life as well. Again, Long Island is one of the most beautiful islands in the Bahamas. The tranquility of the beaches. I mean, this photo that you see at the top here, one of the things that we say about the islands of the Bahamas, what you see is exactly what you get. We Photoshop nothing. The destination is naturally beautiful. It is truly, truly a gem. Long Island also has quiet beaches, small bays, and cliffs as well. So persons can certainly feel free to explore the islands. And of course, the islands are extremely safe and the persons are very friendly. It's interesting because I'm from a one of the out islands, and I'll let you know which one at the end. But as soon as you touch down into the out islands, the Bahamians know, or the locals know, when a visitor is there. And they warmly welcome you. From the time you touch down, they ask, "Do you have transportation? Do you need a ride?" And sometimes it's a huge contrast coming from Nassau, because the atmosphere is just completely different. So I tell people all the time, if you want to experience the true beauty of the Bahamas, you must experience an out island as well. Cat Island, the same thing, rich in Bahamian culture, because Cat Island is where the music of the Bahamas, Rake and Scrape, was founded. So there's a lot of history as it relates to the music of the Bahamas in Cat Island. It also has the largest point, Mount Alvernia. Now we say Mount Alvernia, but it's not that high of a mountain. It's only 63 meters above sea level, but for us, that's high. But there's a lot of mangroves as well, as swampland as well, in terms of areas that can be explored by kayaking and the like. But again, another family friendly island, both of them actually. And next, we are heading to Eleuthera and Exuma. Eleuthera is where you have the pink sand beaches. A lot of people tend to go over to Harbor Island for the pink sand beach, but really all along the northern side of Eleuthera, you will find the pink sand beaches. So you don't necessarily have to go to Harbor Island, even though there is a beach in Harbor Island called Pink Sand Beach. You can find that all along the northern side of the island. What happens is there's a little organism in the sand, and when the organism dies, the shell of it is a light pink color, and when it mixes into the sand, it comes into this light rose color that you see in the photo. Depending on the time of year, that color may be a little deeper. So it may be a deeper pink or it may be a lighter pink. But it's truly one of the gems of Eleuthera. We also have pineapple farms. Eleuthera is known for pineapples. A lot of people don't realize, but really the pineapple that you find in Hawaii was actually originally from the island of Eleuthera, a pine from the island of Eleuthera. So just a little fun fact there. Eleuthera also has a lot of caves. There's a lot of history attached to the island of Eleuthera. So there are a lot of caves that you can find in the central and the northern part of the island, as well as the glass window bridge. Now, the glass window bridge is not made of glass. What happens is, so the bridge connects the northern side with the central side. It's a very narrow bridge. But when tide is very low, you can actually go under the bridge. One side has a deep, deep blue color, and the other side is very shallow. So the contrasts of blue of the bridge and the fact that you can go right under the bridge, it got the nickname the glass window bridge, but it's not made of glass. Also around that area, you have cliffs and the Queen's Bath as well. That is a must to experience, but only when the weather is nice. If the tide is quite high, it's not recommended because the area is closed by officials to avoid any issues because it can be a little dangerous in that area. And in case you didn't realize, Eleuthera is actually the island where I am from. So that is my home. And then we go over to the Exumas. Exumas is certainly one of the gems of the Bahamas. The Exumas alone has over 365 keys. And we say the keys are the little smaller islands. Some of them are inhabited, some of them are not. Some of them just have animals on them. And this is where you find the swimming pigs on Pig Beach, Big Major's Key. The swimming pigs experience, the original swim with the pigs experience is in the Exumas. If you were to book the full experience, it's not just the pigs. So they take you on the excursion for the entire day, and you make about 4 or 5 stops. One of the stops is the iguanas, and all of these are separate keys or separate little islands that you go to by boat. So one of them is the iguanas. They give you a little piece of fruit and a stick, and you feed the iguanas on their island. Then they take you to Compass Key, which has sharks. So you can swim and feed sharks. Um, and not the scary sharks. They are the nurse sharks, so they suck their food. So it's not dangerous at all. I've done it 4 times and I'm still here with all of my limbs and fingers and everything. And then they take you to the swimming pigs. Some of them are small, some of them are big. So it's an incredible experience. I will say, now that we have so many people visiting the islands, all of the animals are protected by the government. They get their checkups. They do have a specific diet. So they are protected by the government. And then a part of the experience, they take you to this area called the Thunderball Grotto. When you drive up to it or when you go up to it by boat, it just looks like a bunch of rock formation above the water. When you dive under, there's an opening within the rock, and it literally looks like an aquarium. It is truly amazing to see, and it's teeming with wildlife. For those persons who are familiar with some of the James Bond films, this is where it got the name Thunderball Grotto, because the James Bond underwater scene was filmed here in Thunderball Grotto. So these are just some of the things that you can do in the Bahamas and some of the islands that you can visit. Yes, Eleuthera and Exumas, these are your top two islands. So if you had to choose, again, I would definitely say Eleuthera and Exuma. Of course, I may be a little biased to Eleuthera. But thank you so much. And I'm now turning it back over to Helen.
Thank you very much, Melissa, for your enthusiasm about the destination. And I think we are all ready to go to Bahamas now. I saw there's a few questions that came in. Maybe this is the right moment because it's about your part of your presentation. One is, can you tell about New Year's on the Bahamas, about New Year's Eve, I think? And do you need to book an event or is everything on the street?
Yes, so New Year's is definitely peak season. Christmas and New Year's is peak season in the Bahamas, so rates will be a little bit higher. The earlier you can book, certainly the better, simply because that is peak time. In terms of activities around Christmas and New Year's, I briefly mentioned Junkanoo. Junkanoo is a local festival that we have in the Bahamas during that time, where all the entire street, main street of Bay Street is shut down. And the local Junkanoo groups, they've been working all year on their costumes, and the street is shut down, and we compete against each other for bragging rights about who has the best costume, the best music, the best artistry, the best performances. So that is an element that certainly should be added to the calendar. We start from 3 a.m. in the morning and we go straight through all day. So the parade can go on for literally 10 hours of groups just going through the streets. So if you have persons who are traveling during that time, I highly recommend that they sit and observe the Junkanoo parade, because it is electrifying. It's similar to sports.
Thank you very much. I also see a question about if the big excursion is if it's animal friendly. You already talked a little bit about that. The animals are protected in the area, so it's an animal friendly excursion. What are the rates for the ferries between the islands? That's a question from Gertie. Gertie, wij kunnen daar ook nog eventjes bij jou op terugkomen later. Which island is the best place for clients to go by ferry from Miami to the Bahamas if they only have one day?
Grand Bahama and Bimini. Those are going to be your closest. Grand Bahama Island, which is Freeport, and Bimini.
Okay. Well, those were the questions for now. Maybe some other question will pop up later. So I would like to continue. Thank you very much, Melissa, again. Ja, we gaan door met het stukje vliegen. Want ja, Bahama is heel leuk, mooie tropische bestemming. Maar hoe kom je er uiteindelijk? Er zijn geen directe vluchten vanuit Nederland. Maar nu is het wel zo dat er goede verbindingen zijn via New York of Atlanta. Dat kan met Delta Airlines en United Airlines. Een beetje afhankelijk van de tijd van het jaar, of het winter- of zomerseizoen is. Zomers wordt er naar Nassau goed via Atlanta gevlogen bijvoorbeeld. Maar je kunt het natuurlijk ook combineren met een bezoek aan New York of aan Miami om de reis wat op te breken. Naar Freeport kan je dus ook via Miami met United Airlines en American Airlines vliegen. Nou ja, tussen New York en Nassau een vlucht duurt zo'n 3 tot 3,5 uur. Als we kijken vanuit Miami naar Nassau, dat hadden we al aangegeven. Ja, dat is ook ongeveer een uurtje. En Miami naar Freeport, omdat Freeport natuurlijk een stuk hoger ligt, maar 45 minuten tot een uurtje. Nou, ik gaf het net al eventjes aan. Deze bestemming leent zich natuurlijk ook uitstekend om te combineren met bijvoorbeeld een stadsbezoek. Neem bijvoorbeeld New York of Miami. En dit zijn dus ook de programma's binnen Travel Trends die heel veel geboekt worden. Dus heeft jouw klant niet heel veel tijd, maar willen ze het beste van twee werelden, dan is de combi New York met New York met Bahamas bijvoorbeeld een hele goede optie. Verblijf 4 nachten in de Big Apple om vervolgens 5 nachten op Paradise Island te verblijven. Deze programma's staan gepubliceerd op onze website, maar zijn natuurlijk ook nog verder naar wens aan te passen en uit te breiden. Daarnaast is het natuurlijk ook een perfecte verlenging om na een reis door Florida of een andere regio in de USA nog eventjes af te sluiten met een paar dagen aan een prachtig strand. Nou ja, over eilandhopping hoef ik verder inhoudelijk weinig meer te vertellen, want Melissa heeft jullie natuurlijk al helemaal meegenomen naar de verschillende eilanden die er zijn. Nou ja, ze gaf natuurlijk aan welke eilanden zij ook echt zou aanraden. Nou, die hebben wij mooi in onze 8-daagse Taste of the Island gestopt. Dus mocht je geïnspireerd zijn geraakt door Melissa, bekijk ook zeker onze eilandhopping programma's. Als je op de website kijkt, zie je er ook al verschillende prijzen bij staan. En wat zou opvallen is dat deze prijzen altijd zonder de internationale vluchten zijn gecalculeerd. Van het ene naar het andere eiland wordt vaak gevlogen. Dus, en ook voor deze reizen geldt dus, zeker omdat de vluchten er ook nog niet in gecalculeerd zijn, is dat ze heel flexibel zijn en nog zijn aan te passen. Dus mocht je er nog een eiland bij willen of wil je extra overnachtingen toevoegen, dan is dat natuurlijk allemaal mogelijk. Ja, dan het Atlantis Resort. Ja, ik kan er niet zoveel over vertellen als Melissa, die zelf bij Atlantis gewerkt heeft. Maar Atlantis is denk ik wel een van de meest bekende resorts eigenlijk. Dus voor klanten die echt een resortervaring willen, die zijn bij Atlantis aan het juiste adres. Waar je bij de Outer Islands juist meer te maken hebt met wat kleinschaligere accommodaties en wat minder de echte luxe zoals je van een resort gewend bent, maar weer meer de barefoot luxury eigenlijk. Dus echt het boutique gevoel. Dan ga je meer naar de Outer Islands. Maar zoekt een klant echt een resortervaring, dan is Atlantis natuurlijk een hele goede optie. Met maar liefst 21 restaurants, meerdere zwembaden, glijbanen, haaien waar je doorheen met de glijbaan gaat. Echt een beetje zoals het moederhotel in Dubai. Die bij velen van jullie waarschijnlijk wel bekend is. Aan het Atlantis Resort, daar hangt natuurlijk ook wel een bepaald prijskaartje, wat niet misschien voor iedereen toegankelijk is. En daar speelt Comfort Suites heel goed op in. Beide hotels zijn echt de bestsellers in ons product. En het voordeel van het Comfort Suite is dat je qua nachtprijs wat voordeliger uitpakt, maar dat je wel gratis gebruik kan maken van de faciliteiten die Atlantis Resort biedt. En dit hotel ligt echt aan de overkant van de straat, dus je loopt er echt in een paar minuten naartoe. Echt een spectaculaire plek die bij ons zowel geboekt wordt voor echt een strandvakantie van ja, bijvoorbeeld 1,5 of 2 weken, maar ook natuurlijk als verlenging kan deze worden opgenomen in een programma. Ja, dan nog eventjes het stukje offerte aanvragen. We gaan natuurlijk weer het hoogseizoen in, dus het kan geen kwaad om nog eventjes te herhalen. Mocht je een aanvraag bij Travel Trend indienen, neem telefonisch contact met ons op om de vluchten alvast in optie te zetten. Zeker voor strakjes, wanneer iedereen een beetje voor de zomervakantie begint te boeken, kan dat natuurlijk geen kwaad. Wat hebben we nodig? Bij iedere aanvraag hebben we namenconform paspoort, geboortedata en natuurlijk een indicatie van het budget nodig. Mocht je dat lastig vinden, bekijk altijd even onze website. Mocht de klant geen budget in gedachten hebben en je kan zelf onvoldoende inschatting maken wat die reis gaat kosten, kan je ook altijd eventjes telefonisch contact met ons opnemen om het even na te gaan. Wanneer kun je beter bellen? Nou ja, stel je hebt een reis naar de Bahama's en jouw klanten die willen een nachtje erbij hier en daar, maar verder de gepubliceerde reis aanhouden, dan kan je ons altijd even bellen om te kijken wat de extra overnachtingen zijn. Mochten de bedragen natuurlijk nog niet op de website staan. Kijk daar ook altijd eventjes naar. Daarnaast kan het natuurlijk zijn dat je een aanvraag hebt met bijvoorbeeld maximaal 4 accommodaties, een vlucht en bijvoorbeeld een huurauto. Nou, dan kun je ons ook altijd eventjes telefonisch proberen te bereiken om op die manier de prijzen binnen te krijgen. In principe zijn onze wachtlijnen kort. Het enige is dat onze prijzen soms natuurlijk nog niet binnen zijn. Dus het kan zijn dat je ons belt, dat wij je in principe de prijzen telefonisch kunnen doorgeven, maar dat we net van die bestemming de prijzen nog niet binnen hebben. Dan kan het zijn dat je moet insturen. Maar over het algemeen is dit de snelste weg naar een boeking. Dan leek het mij leuk om nog eventjes kort een video te laten zien. En daarvoor ga ik eventjes een ander scherm delen. Om nog een beetje extra in de sfeer van de Bahama's te komen.
A lot of people visit the Exumas, and unfortunately they only end up experiencing the swimming pigs or Thunderball Grotto. But you know what people don't realize is that just a few miles away from these popular spots is the Exuma Keys Land and Sea Park, which to me is the true beauty of the Exumas. The Exuma Keys Land and Sea Park is basically a 22 by 8 mile stretch of protected area within the Bahamas that showcases a wide variety of both wildlife and biodiversity. In the north end of the park, you have Shroud Key, which is filled with creeks and mangroves that provide essential habitats for turtles and juvenile sharks and rays. In the southern end of the park, we have some beautiful rock formations. We have the Rocky Dundas cave system, which is actually 2 beautiful caves that have stalagmites and stalactites inside. The beaches found in the park are simply unmatched anywhere else, not just in the Exumas, but in the Bahamas. For cruisers who come to visit the Bahamas, the Exuma Park is definitely an area you can't miss. We currently have 7 mooring fields in the Exuma Park that provide a beautiful place for a cruiser or a visitor to securely moor their boat and be able to experience what we have to offer here in the park. Whether it's snorkeling or diving or hiking or simply lounging around on the beach. I mean, the experiences we offer here are unlike anywhere else in the Bahamas due to the natural beauty of the place and due to it being a protected area, and an area that has been protected now for 60 years. This is a great project that the Bahamas National Trust has going on down here in Exuma, and it's a great way to ensure that our natural resources are protected for future generations.
Hier kwamen eigenlijk alle mooie verhalen van Melissa volgens mij wel terug. Ik ga mijn andere scherm weer eventjes delen. We blijven nog eventjes switchen. Sorry, dat gaat even iets minder soepel. Het ging zo netjes. Kijk, daar zijn we weer. Want voor degenen die hebben opgelet, hebben we nog een prijsvraag. Wij zijn nu heel benieuwd. Als je nu heel dat aanbod hebt gezien, alles wat de Bahamas eigenlijk te bieden heeft, zijn wij heel erg benieuwd welke eilanden of welke plekken jij het liefste zou willen bezoeken en waarom. Dus wil je kans maken op een leuke sauna- en wellnessbon ter waarde van €100? Scan dan eventjes de QR-code of ga naar de link in de chat die ik straks eventjes ga delen met jullie. Wie weet heb jij binnenkort een mooie sauna's wellnessbon op de deurmat liggen. In de tussentijd dat iedereen dit nog heel eventjes aan het invullen is, ben ik eventjes benieuwd of er verder nog andere vragen zijn. Dus ik zal even kijken. Nou, er is al een vraag. There's already a question about a fam trip to the Bahamas. Wow, that's a good idea.
Yes, we are working on farm trips. I cannot say when as yet. We are looking at next year. So stay tuned and stay in touch.
Zijn er verder nog andere vragen? Ik zie dat er verder niks meer was binnengekomen. Anders kan dat altijd nog later natuurlijk worden ingestuurd naar sales. Gertie, ik heb jouw vraag heb ik nog genoteerd. Dus ik zal eventjes contact met je opnemen. Nou ja, voor wie ons nog niet volgt op social media, wij hebben natuurlijk een Facebookpagina met ook nog een aparte reisagentenpagina waarop we de laatste nieuwtjes delen, waarop we eventueel studiereizen delen. Dus wie weet, mocht Bahamas er op een gegeven moment aankomen, je weet het nooit. Maar ook andere updates rondom Travel Trend, daarvoor kun je ons natuurlijk volgen op Facebook. Nou, als er dan verder geen vragen meer zijn, dan ga ik in ieder geval de opname nu stoppen. Sorry.